Hello everyone, back tuning into the CFS 6 months look ahead for August 2016. So as the name implies, we're going to be going ahead 6 months with the long range CFS V2 model. It's going to take us from September next month through to February 2017. So we're going to go through the full autumn and winter period with this update. Be very interesting to see the latest thoughts from the CFS model for the winter. Last year it was a complete write-off from beginning to end if you wanted cold weather, but last month we did have just the hints there in January in last month's update that we might see some blocking. Now, of course, going ahead this amount of time away with one model is highly dubious. It's not to be taken seriously. It's just the first month or two, of course, it does have some merit because it's not that far away. But as you go 3, 4, 5, 6 months away, it really is in the realm of being just for fun. The charts are there, so might as well use them. But whatever you do, don't take it too seriously. But we will be going through the autumn and winter with this update. So before I get on with that, just to say about the ads that Gab's worth, it says links to articles on all the page. You can have a browse widgets and click through the links. If there's any articles that you're interested in, you'll be helping us to pay for our website. And thanks so much for doing that. There's video ads on most of the pages and they own out content. When you watch them, it grows back at the end. It does all help to pay for gabsweathervids.com. And just say you can find the link to the CFS V2 model on the links page. So we're going to start off with 700 millibar height anomalies for the next 6 months, and then we'll have a look at the corresponding temperature anomalies, and then we'll have a look at the corresponding precipitation anomalies that go with those heights. Heights are essentially extrapolating to pressure. We're actually looking at temperature at 700 millibars, but that temperature extrapolates to pressure. So when we've got above average temperatures at 700 millibars, it's extrapolating to high pressure, and below average is extrapolating to low pressure. So we're going to start off with the anomaly, 700 millibar high anomaly for September 2016, just next month. In theory, this should be the most reliable part of all of this because it's only 1 month away. So for September, we see we've got an area of above average height sitting around and to the east and northeast of the UK with a trough of low pressure around Greenland. I think there's a lot of settled weather coming in with that. The jet stream is doing something a bit like that. So it looks quite a decent September. I would have thought that. A fair amount of dry weather. Quite a deep trough around Greenland, so you would have to watch out for being attacked from the Atlantic at times. It's probably not a very dry month, but I would have thought on average a little bit drier than average. Temperatures probably coming out a bit warmer than average as well, so a fairly pleasant September to start us off. Now we get through to October. We've got a rather strange looking chart in October in that we've got all of this yellow here to the north of us. That's above average heights, high pressure generally to the north. You probably can't make out all that well. There's a little bit of blue across iron, so it does imply there may be some sort of trough setting up underneath this blocking feature. So that could be quite an unsettled October. That would be my interpretation of that. Possibly quite a cool, quite an unsettled month coming up there for October. These charts are quite a change around, I think, and what the CFS was showing last month for September and October. So even in this 1 to 2 month away time frame, the models or the model is shifting around quite a bit. So that probably cooler and more unsettled there for October. November also looks quite a strange looking chart. We've got below average heights in the middle of the Atlantic. So that's a trough in the middle of the Atlantic. Otherwise, there's not a great deal else to go on. I would have thought it's just a straightforward westerly type month, but essentially there's not enough there really to go on in terms of the height anomaly. We'll see whether the temperature and precipitation anomalies can shed any light. December looking like this. We've got above average heights out to the west of us, centred to the west northwest of the UK, and it does extend to the north a little bit, so not all that far away from hinting at a little bit of northern blocking there for December. And it doesn't really show, but there's probably a corresponding trough to the east and south of that. Maybe we should come over to this side of the chart. So there's the ridge out to west of the UK. Maybe a trough underneath it around here. I'll put a question mark there because I'm not really sure, but I would assume that the flow with that one is going maybe something a bit like that. So that would place a trough generally to the east of us. That could be quite a cool month. If that comes off, it's certainly not an exceptionally mild December as we saw last year. December 2015 was record-breaking warmth. That would be a much cooler December if that came off, albeit perhaps not desperately cold. It's not a December 2010, but I would have thought there's enough there to be producing at least some cold snaps, and maybe a little bit of white stuff in places. And then we go through to January. Now this is 5 months away, so it really is in the realm of just for fun. I said that last month when we was looking at the chance of quite a blocked and coldish January. That still holds true for this month, although it has changed, and now it's much more Atlantic driven. Now, if you want cold weather, the pluses with this is that we've still got a lot of yellow to the north, so it still hints at quite a lot of blocking across the polar field to the north of the UK around Greenland into Svalbard. But we've also got to be concerned about this area of above average heights through the Azores, and that stretches into Central Europe as well. And then we've got this low pressure in the Atlantic and quite a strong Atlantic driven flow. So it's quite a messy chart, but overall it's mild and Atlantic driven, albeit it would only take subtle adjustments to start to bring all of this blocking to the north, start to bring that into play. So it's not as bold as last month's 700 millibar high anomaly, which really did look quite good if you want cold weather, although the anomalies, temperature anomalies weren't anything to write home about. It's not as good as that, but still carry on watching this space because subtle adjustments wouldn't need to be wouldn't need to go too far to deliver us into cooler weather. And then finally, going 6 months ahead, this is February 2017. Shouldn't be going this far, but I do it anyway and get myself into a bit of trouble, really. We've got below average heights generally centred around the UK, above average heights through the Azores. That's just, again, a straightforward, mild, wet, windy, Atlantic-driven February. No getting away from what that one is showing. So that's how the heights are looking for the next 6 months. What about the temperatures? Well, let's come back to September. And I thought September could be a fairly warmish month. There's no real temperature signal for September. We've got a lot of warmth here to the north around Scandinavia, so it is warm up there. But otherwise, not a great deal to go on. It's cooler in the southeastern part of Europe through the Black Sea down in towards Greece and Turkey, but for us out in the northwest, just near normal temperatures. No particular signal for us to be working with on that one. October carries this on, so again, no real temperature signal into October. This tends to be what you get a lot with CFS V2 model, but it struggles with the temperatures and precipitation. Again, warm over Scandinavia, warm over Greenland and Iceland, hinting at high pressure up here, and possibly up here, and probably up here as well. Remember, these are anomalies, so it will still be quite cold by this point in October in these areas, but compared to average, it is warmer than average. For us, again, not a great deal to go on, but with high pressure up here and a bit of a corresponding trough around here, I would have thought the wind flows probably from the northeast, so I would have thought that should be a fairly coolish month based on the height anomaly at the very least. Again, nothing really to work with in November. Now, for November, we thought it's probably just Atlantic driven. There's low pressure to the west, jet streams coming through like that. So I would have thought that's a mild month in November. And it maybe does hint, to be fair, at being a little bit milder in the west. We haven't got these tiny, we have to strain up the screen to make it out. We have got these tiny little orange splotches here. In the west of Europe, so it probably hints at being a bit milder than average, but it isn't a strong signal. December, which I thought could be a bit cooler, that one comes out generally mild for the north and near normal elsewhere. Remember, for December, what's happening is that there's a ridge here and possibly going up towards here. And then we thought there may be a trough around here, which has the jet stream doing something a little bit like that. So we're just missing out, perhaps, on the cool trough. But if there was a cool trough there, you would expect this area to be quite cold. It doesn't really show that. But I would have thought this is not likely to be a record-breaking warm December as we had last year. And then we're going to January and February, months 5 and 6. Of course, it's in the realm of just for fun. Take it with a pinch of salt. But it was a strong signal for Atlantic-driven weather in both January and February, so you'd expect a milder than average month. Look at this. We turn up the blowtorch. This is get behind the sage long territory again, as we had last year when we were doing the CFS 6 months look ahead around this time of year. And for yours, I kept telling you, if you want cold weather, get behind the sage long. Month after month after month, it's going for warmer than average. And again, it's doing that for January, quite simply because the jet stream is blasting through from the Atlantic like that. Remember, I've got quite a lot of blocking around the polar field, though. There is high pressure up here, so it isn't all that far away from delivering us into something a bit colder as we get through into December, albeit that anomaly is very stark and looks very warm. And then finally we go through to February. Again, very long way out for February, 6 months away, so just for fun, the charts may might as well use them, but don't take it seriously. And look at that, it's a sea of red again, a very warm February coming up compared to average if that comes off. I don't think we had better dwell on that too long. Finally, having a look at the precipitation anomalies, and for September, remember it's quite an anticyclonic month being signalled in September, so we expect a fair amount of dry weather. It does hint at being pretty dry around this sort of area. The jet stream is going a bit like that, so probably hints at being a bit drier than average, albeit I think there will be some bouts of rain coming in at times, because we've got a trough around Greenland, so it's probably enough to be throwing some bands of rain into the UK at times, but on average, probably a dryish sort of month. Now, October looks a little bit wetter, and this does go along with that idea, but we've got high pressure up here, and possibly up here as well, and then a trough underneath it. So that makes sense in terms of precipitation. It does look a bit wetter there, particularly in the south of the country for October, possibly hints at a southerly tracking jet stream. And you would have thought that going along with that would be sort of east-northeasterly winds and possibly quite coolish temperatures. So I would have thought October could be a cooler, wetter month there. Perhaps. November, there wasn't really anything to go on for November. There is a trough of low pressure in the Atlantic, but actually precipitation only for November is coming out a little bit drier than average overall. Weak signals, though, for November. It's a bit of a problematical month, that one. December generally coming out quite dry as well. So again, for December, we thought we've probably got a ridge here, maybe going up towards here, with a jet stream possibly doing something a bit like that. And actually, it is wetter across Scandinavia, possibly hints of being a bit wetter around the Low Countries in Germany as well. So that could all sort of go along with the idea that we might be getting a bit of a trough setting up there. And it would only take a subtle adjustment to pull this back. If you pull that ridge back there, then the trough, of course, is going to set up more around here. And then that does place us into something quite a bit colder if it does something like that. So December, not a million miles away from being a bit cooler, and certainly it doesn't look like the write-off December that we had last year in terms of exceptional warmth and wet conditions that we had in December 2015. Finally going through to January, a wet and average month coming through there, and that's because the jet stream is coming through like that. It's Atlantic driven in January, as it is in February as well. So both of these months do look Atlantic driven. It's a bit dry around Norway. That could hint perhaps at a bit of ridging there. So not all that far from Scandinavian high, but overall the model is indicating Atlantic driven and mild westerly zonal weather for January and for February, months 5 and 6. So again, just for fun, don't worry about that. If you want cold weather, we will see what that is showing in September and then on through the autumn. So, the next 6 months of weather, quite an interesting charts because they're chopping and changing month by month. There's no definitive pattern taking us through. It looks as though we've got a fairly dryish September, perhaps, although there will be some rain at times. Temperatures perhaps a little bit warmer. October could be quite a cool, wet month. Nothing ready to go on for November. And then December could be a little bit more seasonable than we've had for a while. We're not talking about a December 2010, but we're not talking about a write-off December 2015 either. So it may hold a little bit of wintry potential at times. Don't think it's wintry month, but it may hold a little bit of wintry potential at times in a December. January, February, it's a write-off, Atlantic driven and mild. Although January does show quite a bit of northern blocking that we'd have to keep an eye on. But of course that's right in the extended range, so you don't need to get behind the sage long yet for January and for February. Right, that's all for now. I'm going to be away for a few days from Monday to Friday, so I won't be updating the videos. There will be a couple of videos left on the homepage, though. We're going to talk about what goes into winter forecast. We're just going to start thinking a bit about the winter 16-17 update, which will begin in September. We're going to explain our methodology. Got to be video 1. There's also going to be a historic video looking at the hot Julys and summers of 1983 and 2006. Both those will be left on the homepage from Monday through to Friday while I have a little bit of a rest and rest my voice in time for winter updates. And talking of the winter updates, they all get going in September. So the CFS 6 months look ahead from now on will be moving to Saturday. It'll be CFS Saturday rather than CFS Sunday. And that'll be for the next 3, maybe 4 months as well. So next month's CFS 6 month look ahead will be released on Saturday evening rather than Sunday morning, because every Sunday from start of September will be taken up with those winter 16-17 updates. Right, that's all for now. Thanks for watching.